Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another edition of the NEL Show. Or should we say, a T edition of the NEL Show, because it is raining. It is raining, and today is tea day. I hope you're having tea too where you are. This is not exactly, you know what, I'm not going to tell you the type of tea, but I'm a green tea person. And yes, I'm not the tea with sugar and milk and blah blah blah. Of course, I can take those things once in a while, but I'm just not that tea with sugar and milk, then put one beverage. No, I'm not just that kind of person. If I want to take beverage, fun fact, I like it cold, not hot, never hot, except it's green tea. Today we're talking about rebuilding the value system in the family. And who else to join us in this conversation apart from our fantastic friend of the house? She has joined us on the previous edition, Desola, and she'll be joining us very shortly. Meanwhile, this is a good time to subscribe. If you're watching this, share this, because you're going to have a very great time. It's going to be a good time. Good time. Good time. So let's see. Our speaker will be joining us shortly. Okay. Just making sure that everything I need to do, everything in order. We are. Should we make it fun facts day? What's another fun fact about me? Yeah, let's see. Fun facts. Okay. Our speaker will be joining us shortly. Our speaker is yes. So I'm just going to invite her and then we get right into it. Let's see.
Okay. Oh, okay. I don't know why I'm not seeing. Welcome, Deshola. The only thing is I cannot see you. Okay, I think Deshola will have to leave and join in and join back again. Okay, I think he's getting better now. Okay, so now I can hear sound. Okay, yes, I can see you now. Good morning, Deshala. Thank you so much. And you look really good. Yes.
Working chaotic in the
Deshala,
afternoon.
Deshala and our expressions. you know,
Chaotic on Saturday morning.
but
We're trying to round up the children, do one thing or the other. This is
thank
echoing.
you. Oh, okay. Oh.
Let me just
Okay, okay, no problem. Just 1 minute. All right, so we're speaking on rebuilding the value system in the home and family. And one of the importance of us choosing to talk on this topic and subject is because we understand that the production center of any nation is the family. We cannot have presidents that are not built or prepared or produced by families. It's impossible, no matter how we want to do it. And today, Deshola is an expert in that field, and that is why we're going to be journeying with her in interview style, but really learning from her wisdom on what we can practically do moving forward. We're not here to really talk about just problems. We'll dissect some, but we're here to talk about what you can do right now, whether you're young or old parents, what you can immediately pick from this conversation. Thank you so much again, Dishala, for joining us. But I don't know if you are okay now, if you are set. Are you, because
yeah,
you
I'm
said
good.
you were having that call. Okay, all right. So let's just go into Deshala's profile. Let's go into Deshala's profile. Deshala is the lead practitioner at the Daisy Place UK Limited. She's a certified family systems engineer with a passion for parenting. As a believer in the limitlessness of human beings, she helps individuals and organizations attain peak performance on their own terms through counseling, coaching, training, and strategy. Again, Deshala, thank you. I cannot thank you or enough, and I want to, because I know, of course, it's time and investment. Me, I'm personally always appreciative of people's time and investment, and I thank you, especially knowing how things were for you this morning. I can imagine. But thank you for being a mommy that is also impacting the world. We're really grateful. So so, Deshala, I want to start with the importance of why I thought we on the NEL show this month we're talking about the series. We're on the series rebuilding the value system. That's the theme. And so you are sharing with us on the home, family, parenting, and all. One of the reasons why we thought it was important to speak about this is because we have seen a lot of things deteriorating, especially in Nigeria. Yes, we can talk about a lot of countries, but I want to talk about the countries that were decent of. Especially in Nigeria, you see corruption, you see, especially in the leadership, people are frustrated. But people are frustrated, people are talking out, but it looks like nothing is visibly changing. Not like there are no change makers. We have a lot of change makers that are doing what they should within their capacity, and over time, those changes will be seen. But on the broader level, we are seeing people talking electricity, fuel, whatever. It looks like the more people talk, the worse it becomes. So I started to think, and especially as a practitioner, that we cannot just keep on talking about the signs and symptoms. We also need to go to the roots. And if we did not get it right in the roots of, say, a former generation, then well, perhaps the next best time is right now. So, Deshala, I would like you to please start out with sharing with us when a lot of people talk about individuals generally. I see it as a product of parenting and their family, but then there is always usually the a quick response that people give, like, oh, you don't know what anybody went through. Maybe a person did not have quality parents, or the parents were not there for them. There's some of those talks that pops up from time to time. What would you say? What would you say from I'm talking about an individual who did not really come from a home of quality parenting? What would you say to them, and what are some of the advice you would give to them on what they can do better now in their own lifetime, of course, on their journey to parenting, whether biological children or even adopted children?
Okay, first of all, thank you for having me. For me, it's always a blessing. It's always I'm always grateful for the opportunity to be, especially with parents, because, like you said, the family is the production factory of society. If families get it right, then society stands a chance. And where I want to put it is that when parents are better equipped, when they're doing their job, when children are manifesting their highest potential with the right set of values, then society has a chance, the world has a chance, the future has a chance, right? Because sometimes you come across a child and you look at their behavior and you cascade it back to their parents, and then you meet their parents and then it's not surprise, right? You're like, this child didn't get he didn't get a chance to begin with. The child got the shorter end of the stick because looking at the parents' behavior, their attitude, their language, you're like, this child couldn't have done better. You know? We're products of the raw material and we're putting growth of significant emotional experiences, environment, and upbringing, affecting the of all of that. And going to your question, if I meet somebody who has had that end of the stick, who has not had parents who had a strong parental experience, who injected the positive values, who helped this child develop themselves and become the best version of themselves, I would say take responsibility. I would say acknowledge your trauma, acknowledge that you didn't get the best of them, and then pursue knowledge and let your knowledge move into action, right? Which is what I do with parents. There's a need for parents to acknowledge that their parenting was faulty. They were different here and then. Now, this is not to apportion blame and make them core parents, because you really do the best you can with what you know. But you have an opportunity to know better and then do better. Now, there is a problem. If you don't acknowledge that there's a deficit, and then you don't put any effort into becoming better, right? If you don't do that, then that is where the problem is. That's where the challenge is. And I think that's what we see in society today. You hear people make statements like, that's how I was raised and that's what I'm going to do, right? And it's just repeating a cycle. Like you said, the more we talk, the worse things get. Because at the core, people don't have the right values, they don't have the right perspective, they don't have the right orientation towards life, right? And then the poverty in the country also contributes to the worst coming out of people, because everybody is self-serving, everybody's trying to get something, right? And they get it at the expense of every other person. Now, every human being is designed for survival, right? At the base level, self-survival skills are critical. They are ingrained in us. Your brain acts to protect you. That's why your brain doesn't encourage you to take risks. When you're thinking about taking a risk, doing something challenging, your brain tells you, don't go there, because like, I want to protect you, I want to preserve your life. So we all have that instinct, but values can override those instincts. When you see the bigger picture, when you're raised to see the bigger picture, then you're able to take certain risks because you understand how it affects the larger society. And then there is an aspect of realizing that your potential is 100%. 1,000%, if you will. So if you're going to manifest at that level, there is no way you will not put yourself out there and realize that, okay, if I'm going to be the best version of myself, and usually positively, okay? So the right orientation is critical, especially when a child is growing, and that is where the work is. That is where we need to put in an effort. So that is to answer your question. I would tell the person, again, take responsibility, acknowledge your trauma, access knowledge, and let your knowledge lead to action.
Thank you so much, Desola. Before I dive into all of the ingredients of parenting, all those other things, talking about, I would like to ask you now, one of the challenges that we are facing in this day and age is the balancing between career and parenting for most parents, whether mom or dad. Maybe they can say it's more on the women, but depending, for some people, whether they're single dads or single mom, they are having that challenge of balance
being, and for a person who doesn't understand, just basically how to work and be happy, be fulfilled, and at the same time still have time for your children. So my question is, what do you think we can do better to, is it bridge that gap, or what should organizations start to do? I know that some organizations at the very basis, they do things like daycare and all that for moms, but is there not more that can be done to power and to encourage family life? Because I hear people, some scandals came out some weeks ago, and there was a lot of talk about it. There are different that have come out in Nigeria in the past 6 months. The rape, the molestation, the kidnapping. There's all manner of scandal that have come out. And many people will go back to say, oh, where are the parents? Where are the parents? And frankly speaking, Desola, some of these parents are very average parents. Some are the above average and elite. And they all have different excuses. The elite will tell you, oh, they traveled. The one of the scandal in the school, the parents were not even in Lagos. The other one will tell you, I'm in the market. I'm trying to sell. So what can be done on the part of the parents, and what can organizations start to do? Should they start having teenage care, home care? I'm sure you'll be able to give us insight into some of these things, so that we're not having a world where the share with us, all parents, should they go back home and sit down? Maybe that's how it works. I'm sure you'll be able to just help us piece it together. But yes, for a person in that phase now who loves her job or his job, wants to have children, but there's just this struggle of, oh, create time for your children, create time for your children. What can we do in our world to balance that? I hope the question was not too long.
I hope so too. If I leave anything out, just bring me right back.
Yes,
okay. So on the point of busy parents, there has to be a focus on quality versus quantity. That you're at home with your child all day, every day. If you're not doing what that child needs, if you're not being that parent that child needs, if you're not doing what that child is, if you're not serving the role that you're supposed to provide, if you're not providing that capacity at that point in time, reflecting on the age, the personality type of the child, their love language, if you're not that, if you're not deploying yourself to be the parent that that child needs at that point in time, then it will be low quality, right? It will be a lot of time, but not enough quality, right? So it's important for a parent to know what they're doing. It's important for a parent to understand that, like any other skill, parenting is a skill set, right? And like I tell parents, if you have 4 children, you need to develop some level of multiple personality disorder, because there are chances that those children are different. So you have to be a different parent to each of them, right? So if you do parenting right, if you do effective, intentional, visionary, whatever word you want to put before your parenting, the one that results in you creating or introducing or making available a wholesome, smart, brilliant, compassionate, functional human being into society, it will change you and it will stretch you. That's just the truth. That's the truth of the matter. It's going to stretch you. And if it does not stretch you, then there is a disconnect. There's a shortage somewhere. Now, am I saying that a parent cannot be a fully fledged career person and a good parent at the same time? No, that's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying that you have to be willing to grow. You have to be willing to stretch. You have to be willing to accommodate the inconvenience, because it should not be easy. Okay, a person is trying to raise an individual, a human being, with a full set of emotions, with full capacity, with God-given autonomy, right? And you're trying to mold this person into what you think is better for them. It has to cost you. If it is not costing you, if everything is just smooth sailing, then there is a hiccup. Like the cliche says, if there are 2 friends that are very good friends, and they don't quarrel, they don't have disagreements every now and again, then somebody's not being honest with the other, right? Because the friendship process means somebody, there has to be some level of alignment, and usually you're not exactly the same. So there has to be some inconvenience here, there has to be a compromise here and there has to be a give and take, right? So what would be at the foundation of such of effective parenting will be vision. What do you see? Where are you going? Who are you raising? Right? Who is this person becoming? What is the best, the fullest manifestation of this individual? This opportunity that you have been given to parent, what is the highest level that you can attain? Then you now answer the question, who must I become to raise this person? Right? Because there has to be a becoming. In your raw form as a parent, especially if you're raised in Nigeria, you can't deliver that kind of information, that kind of individual. You cannot, because you don't even, the people that engineered you, they didn't deliver you now. That's the truth. The people that engineered you did the best they can. And the beauty of it is that because the world evolves, we have to evolve as well. I like to say that a generation is an improvement on the previous generation, right? It is given by every metric you look at. There is an improvement, there is an upgrade. Now, the children of today, the Gen Zs as we call them, and the younger ones, the generation alphas, they're living in a fully digital world, right? So you who grew up in an analog stroke digital generation, you cannot pour yourself into a digital wineskin and expect that it will sit properly. No, it can't work. You have to take the responsibility of learning. So going back to quality over quantity, what do you know? It would impact your parenting. What have you healed from? What traumas have you acknowledged and let go? What have you healed from? What have you recovered from? Right? What do you now know? Who are you becoming? Because as you are now struggling to learn, you're trying to grapple things, your child is not hanging on. Your child is not staying a baby for so long. Your child is growing at the same time. So you're learning at the same time, right? So who must, exactly, that's the question. Who must I become? What do I want my parenting outcome to be? It starts with vision. A lot of people just have children and then they go with the motions and the child is growing and then they are now trying to play catch up. You have to parent with the end in sight, which is the foundation of intentional parenting. What is the end? What is the most ideal outcome? Now, how am I going to get there? Who must I become to raise this child? What resources do I need to be equipped with? What book do I need to read? What class do I need to take? How would that change happen to me so that I can raise this person? Right? What understanding do I need to have of the child? Because there is a lot of ignoring of who the child's person in all of this. Everything I've said, I've not mentioned how important it is for you to know who the child is, because every child has their own path. Every child has what fulfillment looks like for them. Every human being does that. Right? When we grow older, we're able to entertain the thought that, okay, I live life on my own terms. This is my truth. Well, your child has their truth. Okay? Your child has their own truth. Your child has what they look like at full manifestation. Now, if you don't know that, you might be encouraging a fish to fly. Right? If a fish is supposed to become an excellent swimmer and you think, gosh, I have a bird, you will be pushing that child in the direction they're not supposed to do. They're not supposed to go. So your job, first of all, is to become the student. This is part of evolution. Who must I become? You must become a student. You become a student, then you become the teacher. Are you observing? Are you watching? What are you seeing? Are you willing to accept that, okay, there have been some missteps. I need to walk this thing back. I need to get used to apologizing to this child because I have made an assumption and I have jumped the gun and I have reprimanded this child, learning what the function of behavior was, right?
Yeah.
So there are a lot of moving pieces, but the quality of what you know will determine the quality of what you do. So rather than focusing on I'm not available, what do you do when you are available? Do you have a system? We are practitioners of family systems engineering. You need to have a system and you need to have a structure. Right? If your vision is strong enough, if your why is strong enough, then you will prioritize where you need to prioritize. Your child would understand that, okay, mommy needs to take trips, daddy needs to be away, but they have a certain level of responsibility to us, and they make themselves available for certain critical times in our upbringing. Like I said, if it does not stretch you, you're not doing it right. It is not supposed to be convenient, right? When you walk away from your job or you let your job know that your child has a PTA meeting and you must attend, it is stretching you. You probably are risking some promotion, or you are risking your boss not being happy. But if it is priority to you, then it is priority to you. And that's that about that. You're unapologetic, you're unemotional about it. When you have a vision, when you have decided this is where I'm going, you create systems that reinforce that deliver that result. And the beauty about systems, like we know, is that results are predictable. If you do it the way it's supposed to be done, then the result is predictable. And then the system becomes self-sustaining, right? So for instance, in terms of values now, in our house, respect is a value. So it shows up in communication, it shows up in behavior, it shows up at play, even with my younger son, right? So he has learned that, or he has been taught that you don't snatch a toy from your sibling or from your friend or whatever. It's disrespectful to snatch. You must ask, and you must ask nicely, right? Now, I have taught that, I've walked away from it. It is ingrained in our family values. Because my son is a systems person, he will remind me of that. So if I don't want him to play with something and I take it from him, I have passed on that value. But because it has become self-sustaining, he reminds me and says, Mom, it's not okay to snatch. Mom, it's not okay to snatch. And as a responsible parent, what should I do? Apologize for snatching, hand it back to him, and ask, because it is consistent and it applies to everybody. It's not that daddy and mommy are exempt from family values. Family values apply to all of us, and we all have to abide by it. And that is how you condition a child to normalize certain things and to see some certain things as inappropriate, right? The consistency, the values, the systems, the structures, the rituals, and the routines. You have to work all of that into your family life, taking into consideration the fact that you do need to provide, you do need to work. But those systems would help you where you are not available. You have put a system, a structure in place, whether it is a nightly phone call with your child before they go to bed. If you know you're going to be away, you find somebody to help you, such as myself, to help structure your family in such a way that your child is getting the best of you, even when you're not there. And then you are willing to make accommodations, because again, it will stretch you. It should stretch you. Be willing to accommodate the stretch. If you're taking a new course or you're learning a new class, for instance, and you're told you have to do 20 hours a week of study, it's going to scatter whatever routine you do.
Yes.
But if it is important enough to you, you will be available.
True.
Because you're seeing what that qualification will do to your paycheck in 6 months or in a year, right?
Yes.
Your parenting has to be important enough to you for you to be willing to make those accommodations, right? So you need systems, you need structures, you need consistency to deliver on that vision. But it starts with a decision. It starts with a vision. Where am I going? How will I get there? Who do I need to become to raise this person? Right? And then you talked about what organizations can do. I think organizations would be a reflection of the people who are in the organization. So the people that make decisions, if they get this mindset, then they will facilitate parents being available to raise their children a certain way, at least to a particular baseline standard, right? So organizations around me here, for instance, will always tell you they prioritize work-life balance. It's a function of how the society thinks, a function of the conditioning of the people at the helm of affairs. So you make a phone call to your superior. I can't come to work today because I need to go to my child's school. There is no problem. It's because that ideology is there. So our society, the Nigerian society, needs to develop to the point where children are prioritized, families are prioritized. The job is not actively trying to separate a person from their family. They're not keeping a person at work till 11 at night because of a bottom line. When COVID hit, organizations didn't, but they learned to work from home. Right? And families were kept together. That was one of the pluses of COVID, of the lockdown period. Yeah, that was one of the benefits. Families were forced to stay in that same house, and it caused a lot of friction in some families. Some people were not able to handle the pressure, but some people grew from it. Right? Some people found out that, look, my children are not so bad. Some people even discovered that they didn't know their children well enough. The nannies knew their children better than them. And for some smart ones, they made adjustments and they started looking forward to family time. Now, such a person, when they go back to work, They won't feel bad about asking for time off to go to their child's school, for instance. They won't, because they have now been exposed to it and they've seen the benefit of it, right? So if the people change, the organization will change to reflect the people. If a person comes for an interview and they say, look, I can't work weekends because I need to be there for my family. Once it gets to a critical mass, then organizations will begin to match the needs and the desires of their employees. But if an organization says, come to work Monday to Sunday, and there's no pushback, then it continues. It becomes a pattern, right? It becomes organizational structure, right? But if everybody comes and they says, look, I'm not available on this at this time, I'm not available at this time, and it is becoming a reoccurring excuse, or not excuse, explanation. Delete excuse, not an excuse. It's very, very important, right? And everybody continues to say, oh, it's because I had to go to my child's school, it's because I did this. Then they would have to look at it and say, okay, if this is taking most of our employees away, what can we do? How can we support them in this area? Can we limit our expectations of their availability within certain windows? Because it appears that during school holidays, a lot of people call in sick, or a lot of people just say they can't make it to the job because they have to watch their children, because they have to be responsible for their children. But that time has to be maximized. That time has to be quality time, has to be intentional, deliberate use of time. If you have a 3-hour window with your child every week, make the most of it. Make sure it is target driven. Make sure it is specific. Make sure it is what that child needs. Make sure it is focused time on what that child needs. Make sure it is not just frivolous, just hanging around or pressing your phone, because you can be at home all day with your child and be on your phone. Right? So there's no quality time, there's no exchange, there's no sharing of stories, there's no walking them through doing chores, there is no monitoring, there is no play with you and them, right? So what's the point? You might as well have gone out. So it's important that that time is maximized, and you need knowledge to be able to do this. I hope I took care of the question.
Oh, yes, very much. And it's why I just really enjoy calling you, Desola. Thank you. You just know how to give simple answers, but also answers that solves problems. Solves problems, not complicate it. And anybody watching this that will also watch the replay, also watch on YouTube as well, will be able to learn from all of these things that you have shared. Thank you so much, Desola. Okay, let's move on to some value system building now. Just like I was saying earlier, and I'm not the first person to say it, any president of any country, of any leader, any leadership, government, mayor, whoever it is called, queen, king, came from a family. The person definitely came from a family. Now, would you say that parenting really has as much hold on the lives of adults as some people emphasize it? Why I'm asking that question, because there have been some people, and I don't want to say they've made excuses, but that have claimed that, oh, this person came from a good home. Yes, this is how he turned out. Or yeah, this is how she turned out. And I will merge it with the second question, which is, how can we build value systems in children that can still be effective in today's continuous deteriorating world? And yes, for those who don't know, like Desola is in the UK, you are in what world? That world, the first world and all that, where we have a lot of, I would say, different mixed values and more. Compared to the third world nation, there are a lot of things that are accepted over there. And again, this is your field. How would you say, how can, if a children, or not just African, but Nigerian child or anybody watching, but I'm just really passionate about my own country first, Nigerian child who has been built with certain values, now go on to translate these values into actions? How is that possible? Where we have, there are some things I don't want to talk about here, but yeah, where we have things like same-sex marriages, we have a lot of these things going on now. So Desola, what's the practicality? What will you do? What can a parent do? Many people are helpless, and thank God, this is also an avenue to let you know that there is help for those who are. Desola is someone who you can sit with in a private session that can help you navigate those questions that you have. And
Our handle is at Desola Sosan, in case you are wondering or you're just listening to this. So I would like you to help take us through that journey in the most explainable way possible, and of course as detailed as you can, because that's the next big problem that people are having, because a lot of people are having to move, and they're having to move even if they don't want to move themselves. Their children are going to go to school. There are teenage people that moved on earlier to other countries, and they shall in sessions, the things that I'm hearing of children, their parents don't even know their parents are here, but the things that happen sexually are waking people before 20, all manner, because the girl or the
Make
guy
that
moved at 15 to whatever country to go and school, and they're just the parents just say, mommy, wa me abroad, oh, I need abroad. But you think that you've put values in this person, but the person is just a different being over there. Thank God for counselors like us who they can come to and open up to, because many of them won't open up to their parents. But what can we do about it so that we don't continue to repeat this pattern? Because what we're now doing as counselors, therapists, practitioners is to now, okay, let's repair, but to even avoid it, what can we do? Thank you.
Okay, we've talked about it already. What a person considers normal is a function of their home environment growing up, right? Culture has a stronghold on a person's mind because it's a pattern, right? And it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy when a person has concluded that this is what I believe about a certain thing. Now, how do those beliefs form? Upbringing, environment, significant emotional experiences. Now, the upbringing part is the parents. The parents brings what they have to the table. They bring their own knowledge,
Yes.
their own shortcomings, their own trauma, their capacity. They bring it to the table and they inject it into this child. Now, Maria Montessori postulated the theory of the absorbent mind, and she said that between ages 0 to 3, a child would absorb influences around them without even trying. Okay, so if a child is exposed to language, they learn the language without even making a conscious effort. A child hears bless you when you sneeze, when they sneeze, and then they say bless you in return, right? They pick up influences, they soak up everything that they're exposed to. Unfortunately, a lot of parents think that this window is a time where their child doesn't know anything, so they don't maximize this this absorbent mind window, right? They think that this child does not even this child does not know what they're doing, so why would I even make an effort? UNICEF puts a child's developmental window as ages 0 to 9, and they say that that is the critical time for a child's development, socially, psychologically, cognitively, emotionally, and all of that. A parent who knows this will know that this is the block that they have to put values in their children, to put a sense of direction in their children, to raise them with a sense of purpose, to let them know that they are here not just for themselves, right? So there is a mixture of influences that a child is exposed to, none of them positive, none of them intentional, none of them good. And then one is surprised that this child goes abroad and they fall by the wayside, right? Because when the culture inside a person's family is not strong enough, then they're at risk when they go outside. If their sense of self is not secure enough, if what they believe about themselves is not firmly rooted enough, then somebody will make suggestions and it will look like a plausible direction for them to go to, and they won't have anything inside them to counter it. Because on the in addition to not intentionally utilizing the developmental window of children, a lot of children's self-esteem is damaged inside the home by their parents who should know better, because they think that the best way to get across to a child is to shout and yell and shut them down and not even give them a reason, an opportunity to explain themselves, and not have a conversation. Their focus is instruction, and this concept of discipline, which is very funny because discipline, what we think is discipline, is mostly punitive. It's mostly laying down the law, bringing down the hammer, right? It is not strategic, it's not tactical, right? It is not, it's not discipleship, which is what it should be. Discipline is ordinarily training and instruction. It's providing guidance, it's providing support, right? Intentional, directional support. Right? Again, working from the end, working with the end in mind, right?
Yes.
Having a particular picture. This is who we are raising, right? Like PF likes to say, when you give a child to a Boko Haram sect, in 14 years or 15 years, they've raised a suicide bomber.
Yes.
That is intentional. That is deliberate. That is calculated. How calculated are we about our parenting? Now, all that work that should have been done is not done. And then the child is thrown in the deep end overseas in a school where they don't have somebody who looks like them, who can now get across to them, because that window where you're supposed to have installed certain things inside them, that window has passed. And like you said, the therapist does damage control.
Yes.
We do damage control. We play catch up, right? Because you're now trying to install what should have been installed in the child right from the beginning, right? So a lot of those balls are dropped early, and then parents are surprised. We have to take the bull by the horn. We have to be proactive as parents. We have to take responsibility right from the day your child is born. That is when parenting starts. I've talked about ages 0 to 3, the theory of the absent mind, right? So you are careful, you are intentional. You're not going to let culture tell you your child does not know anything. Your child knows a lot, right? And there's this book, I've forgotten the name of the doctor who wrote it with Oprah Winfrey, and he talked about trauma that is experienced by children when they cannot speak about it, and how long-lasting the effects of such trauma is. So a baby has witnessed their mother or their father being abused. They cannot verbalize what they've seen because they are not able to speak yet. So they are maybe less than 3 months, but they can see it. And the brain absorbs information, the eyes absorb information and transfers it, and it is stored there. And it affects the life of this child. And they can't even explain where it has come from. When you sit with a therapist, you're supposed to be able to describe what you're feeling, right? This person articulates what they are feeling. They can't describe it because they did not have words. They did not have capacity to put it into words at that time. That is how dangerous exposing a child to certain kinds of, to trauma generally, when they are babies can be. That is proven. Now, there's the concept of epigenetic memory, which was research done by students at Emory University, and which confirmed that there are some behaviors, there are some patterns that are passed down through generations. Fear is the one that was confirmed, passed down through mice who were exposed to electric shock at the introduction of the fragrance of cherry blossoms. At it, they would not put the electric shock, provide the electric shock, just introducing the smell caused the mice to react, right? And what they found out was up until the 4th generation, the fragrance of blossoms would make those mice jump. The ones that were their forefathers, were the ones that were involved in the experiment. Now, if fear can be transmitted like that, what else? If it can be transmitted through mice, what else? Now, there's some suggestion that there is a tendency that Black people have that can be explained by epigenetic memory, right? The fear we have of dogs, for instance. The average Black person is afraid of dogs. Have you noticed?
Yes, yes.
Now, it has been concluded that I am one of those people. In case you were wondering.
Yes.
I'm unlearning it now. I'm trying to stay calm, but I'm still not at ease around animals. Now, why do I feel that way? I've never been bitten by a dog. I just have this idea that dogs are scary. Now, if you look at the slave trade, the period where slaves were kept, people who were moved from Africa and sold into slavery in the Americas and all of that, when they tried to escape, dogs were used to chase them. Dogs would be released by their slave owners and would chase them into the plantation and find them out. So what if that fear of dogs is something that was experienced by my forefathers who were sold into slavery? Yeah. What if that is why we are behaving the way we are today? There's some things a Black person will not try just because. No explanation. Right? We even joke about it when you watch scary movies. If it's a Black person that's in the movie and the person is going to where this the dangerous sound is coming from, you're like, guy, what are you doing? Why people do stuff like that? We don't do stuff like that. You run in the other direction. But they have a sense of curiosity. And if we look at colonial, I'm taking the conversation a little bit further, but I'm just trying to explain how some things that we hold on to, that we prioritize, and we are custodians of culture, and this is how we do things, and this is the process. Where do those things come from? Are those things beneficial to us today, right? How can a small country like the UK approach the Atlantic, enter communities and subdue them? by whatever means they had. What effrontery did they have to get up and say, we're not going to only control our own territories, we're going to gather territories all around the world? That is audacity. Where does it come from? Now, if you look at the average white person, that audacity is there, right? And you can understand it. But yes, it is there, right? How many unicorns, for instance, have we created in Africa? How many daring things have Black people done? We have to break that mold. And the way we can do it is to understand that we have the limitation, unlearn it, and make sure we don't transfer it to our children. All right? Make sure we don't transfer it to our children. Now, back to your question. How come values are not consistent? We did not take advantage, most times, we did not take advantage of the developmental window of children. We were not intentional. We did not have systems. We did not have processes that reinforced that sense of identity. Now, identity is critical to the child of today because information is available to them. If you say to a 4-year-old, I don't know something, the 4-year-old will probably look at you and go like, Google it. So information is available. What they don't have or what they need is context. Right? So it is our job to provide that context in the way they best understand. Now, I say parenting is a sales pitch. If you're a salesperson and you approach a company, you're trying to sell a product to them, and you finish the presentation and everything goes well and all of that, and they tell you, we're still not convinced. What do? You go back and fix your presentation, right? Before you've approached them, you've learned all you can about that company because you're creating a product specifically for them. You've learned about their behaviors. You probably learned about the CEO. What does he like? What colors does he like? Because you're trying to sell a product, right? We need to do that with our parenting. Literally, we need to look at the child, the person who we're providing this information to, what we're marketing this idea to. Now, this is on a consistent basis. You need to tailor information to your child the best way they understand it. If you do that, then it sinks faster. Obviously, there is a lag between hearing information and accepting it as truth. That's where consistency comes in. So if it is a system, if it is a value, if you believe it, then every day it is true. Every day it is constant. It's not for the child to behave a certain way today and you look away, and then they do it tomorrow and you're like, no, you don't do that. Then the child is confused and the child is wondering, can you pick a hustle? Can you just be consistent? Can you stay on one side? Why did I do it yesterday and it's not okay? That's why systems are beneficial. Once it is written down, then even you are subjected to that system if you want the results that you desire, right? So it is important for us to understand that we need to teach our children, equip them to be able to handle contact without contamination. They will be exposed. That is a given. If they are not exposed in the house, they will go to school. They would interact with children who are not doing what you're doing, right? So they need to be able to stand up for what they believe in, and how you see them is how they will see themselves. And that's where perceptual code comes in. How you communicate with them, how you interact with them is how they'll be able to, is what will determine whether they'll be able to stand for what they believe in. When everybody else is going to the left, they're able to say, no, I'm going to do what I think is right, regardless of what everybody else is doing, right? And it has to be intentional. Every child is different. Every personality type is different. So I'm not suggesting a one-size-fits-all approach. That is not going to work, except your children are exactly alike, which is unlikely. Because you and the person you have had the child with are most likely not exactly alike. So if one child takes after one and the other takes after the other, then there has to be some flexibility. You have to have a toolkit, like I like to call it, of strategies, of things that you would try, of attempts that you will make, records that you would keep concerning each child, because they have their own path, they have their own idea what fulfillment looks like for them, for what full maximization of potential looks like for them. You need to find that, and you need to guide them in that direction, separately, together. Because as a family unit, you have goals and values that you live by. But each child has to find that path. And it's your job to help them find it and fully access it, right? So the idea that a Gen Z person is tolerant of all beliefs is accurate. It's true. The generation that they live in makes everything available to them. makes information available to them. The internet makes them come in contact with all sorts of people. So again, if you say that I'm going to raise my own child in a cocoon, one day they will go to school. One day you will decide to relocate like I did. One day you will say, okay, go to America for your education. What then happens? What then happens? If that child is not properly structured, right? If they're not able to show up and stand up for what they believe, if it's not okay in your house, for instance, for a child to have an opinion, then there is danger, right? If your child does not have a voice, if they don't have the idea, if they've not internalized the fact that they have a voice and they can make choices for their lives, there is danger, right? When I tell parents that your child does not have to listen to you, it's true. They don't have to. They should want to. You should get to the place where they want to, where they trust your opinion, they trust your communication is appealing to them. If every time everything they hear is shut up, whatever, rude statements, they will bear with you up until one point. One day they will realize that from day one, they didn't have to listen to you. Because when you have a toddler that cannot walk, and you say, drop that thing, and they don't, you chuckle, you laugh, right? Because in your mind, the child is little, they don't know what they're doing, yeah? So at that point in time, it's okay for the child not to listen to you. But then they get to an age, and then you now feel that it's time for me to now say, insist. This is, no, you have to guide them along that path. You have to be strategic. The child does not even know they are bending to your will because you're bypassing conscious resistance. You've learned what their love language is. So you're angry, everybody is angry, but you just think, I need to maintain communication lines, right? So, but this person, this child, physical touch is their thing. So you go, you rub their back. You've not said anything, right? The child is still angry with you, but you've communicated love. You've jumped a step, right? You've not used words. You have skipped words. You have gone straight to their feelings. You have gone straight to the core of their person. And the child just looks like, okay, she loves me. I'm going to have to trust her now. I'm going to have to bring her in, right? So you need to have all these strategies in place. Like I said, what you know will determine the quality of your parenting. If you don't know all of this, then you will be at a loss. And the child will find their way, right? Not just in the, it might not be in the way that you would desire, but you also need to trust that your child will find their way one way or another, right? So I like to absolve parents of that full responsibility because it breeds shame and it makes parents act out of fear that if my child gets lost or they make a major mistake, then it reflects poorly on me. The truth is you can do everything right and the child will still turn out the way they want to turn out because they have autonomy, because they have their own path. Perhaps that is how they are supposed to find their way. Perhaps they are supposed to make those mistakes so that they can help other people who are going to make those mistakes find their way. Maybe, you don't know, okay? So relax, do your best and trust that that time will take care of things. Stop acting out of shame, because that's why some parents, when their child throws a tantrum, they react because they feel that it's reflecting poorly on them. Sometimes it's different issues that cause a child to act out in public. Sometimes it's just attention seeking. All right. And I read a report, which was funny to me, about how children misbehave when their mothers are present. And why they do that is because they are comfortable with their mothers. Because something tells them that my mother is near, nothing will happen to me, even if I do anything. Right. Now, if you consider that and you think that might be an indication of the child's behavior, then you don't feel bad. You remind yourself that my child is at ease with me. That's why they're misbehaving. And then you look away and you let it go. If it is attention seeking, you understand that if I don't provide the attention, the behavior is likely to go away, right? If it is escape, I'm talking about functions of behavior now. If it is escape and avoidance, then you want to ask questions. What is this child trying to get out of? If a child is lying about something, what are they trying to get out of? Is it a fear of a repercussion? Am I being too hard? If you're being too hard with your 5-6-year-old that they cannot tell you the truth about something that they have damaged, when they make a mistake in school or they've done something big, would they come to you or would they go outside? That's the question you need to ask yourself. So if you understand that there is still a future ahead and the choices that you make today affect that future, then you would rein in your reaction and you would approach every situation with curiosity. And you would understand that when a child has done something contrary to who they are, your job is to remind them of that identity, remind them of the values that they're supposed to live by. Not go on and on about what they've done, because what they've done it. When you make a mistake, who spanks you? Nobody. You move on from it as quickly as you've done it, right? Because you can explain it to yourself. You can say, okay, I was tired. That's why I dropped that plate. I've been busy all day. Okay, what if your child was tired and that's why they dropped the plate? Can we extend grace to children? Can we extend grace to them and understand that they're work in progress, just as we are, right? Some adults that are parents are 40, 50-year-old works in progress. Nobody has killed them yet. But this child is 5, they're 6, they're 7, they're 8, they're learning. So rather than approach it with knowledge and teaching and training, which is what discipline is, can we walk away from this harsh, punitive way that we were raised and approach our children as human beings who have autonomy, who have a choice, who have a path to follow, and not approach parenting with fear, but with curiosity and knowledge, right? Doing right by the child, evolving. You take care of your base, right? Take care of what affects you. Ensure that what you're putting inside that child is purposeful, is intentional, is appropriate, is correct, right? In the direction that they're supposed to go in. And trust that everything will come together. Everything will work out together. Now, is there anything else that you mentioned that I've not taken care of?
Not that I can remember. In fact, you're so detailed. Thank you so much. In fact, if you've gone on to answer questions that have been asked, which
you've not asked.
Yes, and I'm so happy about it. That is one of the things I enjoy when I have private conversations with you. I really enjoy you answering questions I did not even ask. Although you've spoken a lot about this, but I want to ask, is there a path for a parent who is saying, okay, I've heard you, Desola, but what can do I still have my part to play to say I don't want my children to associate with this kind of children because I do not think that their parents are principled and I do not think that they are putting in the efforts that I'm putting to parenting. I've heard you, Ma, you've told us about building value system, but if I do that, am I doing that out of fear or is that wisdom? I don't know what you have to say with that. For parents that say, hey, I'm not going to maybe allow my children play with some children on the street, the compound, the park, the ones they can control, because of course you can't control school and all that, because this parent or this mom or this dad behaves certain way and I don't want this kind of value passed to my child. What would you say to that parent and how can it be balanced with all that you've shared earlier on?
I would say carry on. I would say absolutely. You have a responsibility to protect the influences that have access to your child. The same way you won't let your child consume certain kinds of content on TV, for instance, or play certain games. It's the same way you need to take care of what you can take care of. Whatever is within your control, handle that, right? So if you feel that some children play a certain way or there's some kind of language or they are rough, I am particular about rough playing children. So I'll use myself as an example. Now, when you have boys, you are led to believe that you should just allow them, right? Boys will be boys. They will come home with scrapes and injuries and that's okay. I didn't agree with that. So right from the beginning, yes, I maybe I could have overdone it a little bit. I'm taking sons are not the average rough playing boys because I let them know from the beginning that there's some things that you will just not be able to do and you have to be cool with that, right? I'm not going to nurse injuries, broken bones and all of that. I'm not going to do that.
Boys are boys.
Exactly. I have 2 of them. They play together, but we still emphasize gentle play. And language is important. Let me just mention that here. If you don't want a child to do something, don't use that word in your instruction, right? So when you say things like stop running, the child did not hear the stop. It's just the running, right? But when you say walk, focus on what it is that you want them to do. Let your language reflect the behavior that you want to see. So in terms of my children, when they play, they hear things like gentle play. We play gently. We play gently, right from when they were little, right? And I can tell you that it has worked. I can see it. When I see other boys doing funny things, I'm like, there is no way my children would have been able to do it because even I would not have allowed it, right? And obviously, like you said, there are children that I knew growing up that I would not let them hang out with because for me, it's rough. Right? So if I use that example, I wouldn't expose them to those kind of things. Now, the other day, my son came home and he said, everybody in his class is watching this popular Netflix series, Stranger Things.
Okay.
And immediately I said, oh, really? Your classmates, 9, your classmates are watching Stranger Things. And he said, but I know, I didn't have to prompt him. And he just went on to say, I know it's not appropriate for children, so I'm not going to watch it. That tells you that he has conditioned himself. I don't even have to do it anymore. When they watch TV or they have TV time, they have short TV bouts in a day, about an hour, I think twice an hour a day. You hear them have conversations like, no, we can't watch that. They're talking to each other. I'm not even involved. That is why values need to be consistent, because at a point you won't even need to get involved anymore. It has been installed in the child already that this is not appropriate behavior, right? So you tell the child, I overhear them say things like, no, we can't watch that. That's not okay. But you hear things like, so what are we supposed to learn from that? Because they also hear me say things like, when you sit down to watch something, when you're using your screen time, make sure it's profitable. Make sure you're learning something. Watching mindless TV, a little bit, but make sure more of that window is to learn something. You're transferring something from the mind of whoever created that content into yourself, and it is positive and useful for you. If it is not, then you're wasting your time, and time is life. So they've heard those kind of things over and over, that they are now conditioned to seek out positive and useful information when they have TV time, right? Especially because they don't even have a lot of it, right? So the little that they have to maximize. So it's absolutely recommended. You need to protect your child, especially when they're in that formative window. You need to be intentional. You need to be careful. They would be exposed to it at school. You may not be able to control that, but what you can control, take control of. Don't allow your children to mix with children that you think they have questionable behavior, especially if you don't want it transferred to your child. When the child is fully of age and you've done the work when you're supposed to do it, then you'll be able to relax. So do the work now. Okay, the recommendation is to do the work now that they are forming, that they are growing, that they are becoming themselves. Do that work, curate their content, curate consumption. When you say don't give a child an internet enabled phone, for some parents it's like, you don't want my child to rock their life. But no, it's because you can't control the information that has access to their minds, right? And then you don't want the dependency on screens. A 1-year-old cries in public and the mother hands them their phone because it keeps them quiet. No. How about the crayon book? How about you going around with a coloring book and crayons and keep the child occupied and busy, right? Rather than a screen, because that creates a dependency. And then you don't even know what can flash through the screen, some dangerous and violent content and all of that. It's not because you're not there 24/7, chucking your child in front of a TV because you need to sleep. No, find something constructive for them to do. Play with them. Get down on all fours with them. They're only young for a short while. I tell parents, your children are only young for, it's very fleeting. Wow. I remember when I had my son like yesterday, and I'm like, where did all this time go to, right? Playing catch up now would take a lot of effort and money if I have to engage a therapist. Yes. You know, but do the work when you're supposed to do it, so that when you are resting, you know it's well-deserved rest. Okay, so yes, absolutely, curate access to your children. Be strategic, be intentional. Your values will guide you. You don't have to overthink it. Your values will guide you. The direction you're going to, your family ideology will guide you. If it does not match that, whatever anybody has to say, that's their personal opinion. Everybody has got one. Right? But when you have taken the time to think about where you're going with your parenting, whatever does not align, remove it unemotionally, without apology, right? So absolutely, please do that. Curate what your child is exposed to.
Thank you so much, Desola. We're going to start to wrap up now, and I just want to say it here, especially to those that are watching on YouTube. You should book Desola if you are having parenting crisis on a more serious note, because if you've gotten so much value from me, it feels like I'm in a master class. Before, when I used to interview, I was telling a friend of mine, I used to say, oh, I'm interviewing because I'm passionate about it. No. Then I started to say, no, interviewing time is also learning time. For me, it's not just a time to call guests and have nice conversation. So I personally learned a lot, and you can, she's a Desola Sosan on Instagram, please. Please, if you are watching this, it's really important. And I'm saying this not just to advertise or because it's a regular thing, because there are a lot of people in parenting crisis. They claim, I mean, the media space, when people start to talk, I'm very defensive. They claim there are no therapists, and I'm very defensive about it. You can't say that. You can't say there are no therapists. Which one do you want? Have you asked me? Have you? No, they are parenting. There are a lot of people, so you can't sit down there and say, oh, you don't have help. This is 2022 at the time of this recording, and we've passed all those ancients. I don't know where to find help. There's help available if you are plugged into the right people. Okay, so in our wrapping up now, I think about 2 questions before we ask you your rapid fire question and then close out. Which is, I would now say, I think let me join this 2 in 1 and then ask the final one. If you may have not answered itself in this question, which is there's this phone problem talk, which is age range, age range, all that. Should there be an age range in 2022 going upward? Because they'll say, practitioner Desola, this is the digital age, hey, give it also. I'm sure you will be able to help us balance it. Should there be a time, should there be an age range restriction for this phone thing with children? If yes, can you give us an advice on which one? If no, help us navigate through that. And then what can we do practically to build value system? You've said a lot, or you've even given answers in that, but I don't know if there are practical things you want to say, that because you've told us about vision, at least me listening, but are there other things you want to add to say, oh, okay, when your child is born, okay, pregnant mom, so this is what you should now do with your husband? You now say, okay, this is our vision, then we'll start giving the child to watch this cartoon. Also, for a layman listening or watching, what can a person do to build value system? At least the one you can give us. The rest, you book it to the session with Desola, but she will give us the one. Yes, because some things you too invest. When you invest, you'll be able to get it. Yeah, but for the one you can share with us, what can a person do who is, let's say, pregnant now and saying, okay, I want to start this value system thing. What do I do? Do I read a book? Or because you've told us to develop ourselves, so what do I do next for the child? Do I start, some people say affirmation. Okay, I just start affirming, and you've given us the video of the window of 0 to 3. So I would like you to just share what can be done in everyday terms to build value system and this age range thing. And one more thing, I want to give a punchline to just reiterate what Desola said in the previous point. She said, let your language reflect what you want to see, not what you don't want to see. So if you want your children to play gently, gentle playing. Not stop playing rough, stop playing rough. So Desola has taught us that, and it is important. I believe that's an important takeaway. I just need to emphasize that as she answers our second to the last question. Thank you, Desola.
Okay, you're going to remind me those questions because I was making notes when you were speaking.
Okay, but, so come again, right? Or you are good for now?
Yes. Yeah, well, yes. If I leave anything out, just bring me right back. Okay, so you said, what can a person do? A person is pregnant. Like I said, it begins with a decision. You need to make a decision and you need to write it down. What am I going to achieve? What is my parenting going to lead to? Before this child is born, who are we developing this child to become? Right? Because you can actually script your child. I've made the reference to Boko Haram, for instance. When a child is exposed to them for a particular period of time, the result is guaranteed. There is radicalization, there is teaching. And for whatever reason, whatever it is you want to describe it as, it's a successful method, okay? It is successful. It has proven itself. It's a system that is successful. They have done it over and over and over, and there are thousands, if not millions, of such people, radicalized people that exist on our planet with us right here, right now. So they have hacked a system. They have created a system that works. Systems bow to systems. If your child is not going to succumb to the system of the world, then you have to counter the system of the world with your own system, right? Wishful thinking will not do it. Affirmations are fantastic, but affirmations that are not backed with consistent action, proven action, will just be those affirmations, okay? It will put you in a positive state of mind, but what would you do with that positive state of mind, right? It will give you a can-do spirit. It will say get up and go, but the question is, are you going to get up and go? That will be up to you, right? So your strategy has to match the strategy of the world. and one will bow to the other. How you execute it, how effective it is, would reflect, right? And like I like to say, the custodians of the culture that we grew up in, if you look at the report card of that culture, what is it? What does it say? Some parents say things like, oh, I want my children to have the culture of my tribe. What has your tribe's culture produced? That is the environment that we see around us in Nigeria today. The people who are elderly, who are supposed to know better, are being accused of corruption, have been accused of stealing. They are in positions of authority. They are appropriating the city, the neighborhood, the local government, the state, the nation's wealth to themselves. And they are doing it without shame. They're not sorry about it. And the system reinforces it because they actually have people who support it, which tells you that there is a problem. There is a problem. And there are people who actually actively support these people who have milked the nation dry, right, over the years. Different parties swimming from one political party to the other, all of them the same, you know. But that is the report card of our culture. That is the report card of the system that we grew up in. You need to break that cycle. You need to intentionally break that cycle. You need an intervention. You cannot replicate that culture in your children, else you contribute to that negative cycle that is running now, right? So it begins with a decision. Where am I going? What is the vision? What is my parenting vision? Write it down. Pick the values that you think would facilitate that vision, and write those down as well. Now, the easiest way I think it is to do this is what I recommend with parents that I work with is picture your child as a fully grown 25, 27, 30-year-old. Picture that child as that old. What do you want to see in them? What values do you want to see in them? How do you want them to process information? How do you want them to see the world? What worldview do you want them to have, right? Curate information that would result in that outcome for you. Okay, so picture your child. You're pregnant, you have a little baby, you have a toddler. Who is that child going to be as a fully grown 27-year-old? Are they going to be a husband? Are they going to be a wife? Are they going to be a business owner? What roles are they going to have in society? Now, what values does that person need to have? Do they need to be honest? Do they need to be kind? Do they need to be compassionate? Do they need to be brilliant? Do they need to be self-assured? What are the things that form how? Okay, I hope you're there. Nkechi, are you there?
Yes, I can. Yeah. Well, my video paused when you said
Oh, I
you
see.
don't need to be brilliant, you don't need to be short.
Okay, good. Okay, all right. So what are all the components of that person? Now, begin to install them today. That is intentional parenting. Seeing the end from the beginning. Understanding that the time you have with your child is limited. You have only a short window. I'm not saying you will not live long. I'm saying that the window that you have to instill values and a state of mind, a way of thinking, a worldview into your child, make the and a good way to install a value system, a way of thinking, a conditioning into your child. Like I said, understanding that human nature is limitless. For instance, I was fascinated to learn from Sadhguru about how a child that grows up in their culture is taught limitlessness. And what he said is that before a child is exposed to religion, once the child comes of age and becomes aware, they expose the child to the elements of nature. They expose the child to fire, and they tell the child, you are fire. They expose the child to water. They tell the child, you are water. They expose the child to air. They tell the child, you are air. So the child embodies the consciousness that they are without boundaries. right? And I found that very fascinating. I like to study those cultures because they have ways of thinking ingrained in their day-to-day behavior that is not even religion-based. It's just what they have come to believe. And when a person understands that they are at one with nature, they are at one with water, they are at one with fire, then the boundaries of the person's existence, I mean, it just explodes, really. So I'm not asking you to do that. That fascinated me. I'm not doing that. But I'm just saying that you need to find a way to communicate to your child that there is nothing that they cannot become. There is no limits to their existence. There is no limits to their capacity. Their potential is infinite. Their potential is infinite. And I like to tell parents, especially those whose children are approaching, well, you need to do it from childhood, but it is critical teenager, to live life with a sense of purpose. A sense of purpose will reign in insisted that he must go on this blind date and all of that, and he showed up. And then he went to the girl and he showed up at the date and asked the girl, what's your grade in math? And she said, she was taken aback, and she said, I think 90 or thereabout. And he said, look, you are already, you're not doing so well. Of course, he was brilliant. You're not doing so well, yet you're going on dates that maybe when your grade is not, no, it wasn't 90, it was somewhere around maybe the 70s or so. And then he was like, maybe when your grade hits 90, 95, you can have dates so that when you drop, because obviously you'll be distracted, when you drop, you will still be amongst the high-performing students in the class. And he walked away from that blind date. Now, that is somebody who knows that he is on the planet for a reason, right? If acting is actually are incontrovertible. Systems deliver results at any given time, wherever it is. Systems will give results. So there are systems that you need to take cognizance of. There's the governance system, which is methods of leadership in your home, whether it's autocratic or it is democratic, whether it's about this. It's to be the idea that they have a voice and they have a say and they are the captains of their own destiny. That consciousness is inside them because they are given a seat at the table. As little as they are, you are not insisting and enforcing, you're having a conversation. So they grow up with that mindset and they realize that it's important for one to have a conversation in an organization, for instance, have a conversation with everyone who is affected by decisions. And that is good. That's a positive value to have to develop in society. Oh, sorry, yes, bad network, right? And next is the communication system. How do we communicate? Again, your values show up here. If one of your values, like in our home, is respect, then respect has to show up in communication. And that is another place where I quarrel with culture, because respect flows downwards in Yoruba culture. I don't know about in your own
Yes.
culture, but it flows downwards. It doesn't go upwards. So I think, sorry, it goes upwards. It doesn't come downwards.
It
So
was
a child can
rather
be
that
sat
is
on a
correct.
chair.
Mm.
Exactly. So a child gets up because an adult wants to sit. The question now is, who needs to sit? Is it the adult of the child or the child? Right? So I think one should reimagine that, and in your home, respect should be towards everybody. Everybody gets spoken to respectfully. And if you use the sandwich method in communication, then you're not damaging the child's self-esteem, because they made one mistake, like everybody does. So you're able to put criticism between two compliments. So the person you're able to reach the person emotionally first, positively, and then inject your criticism or correction, and then wrap it up with, I know you can do better, I trust you, I know that's an amazing person, I know this was just a slip up, and I trust you to do better in future, right? Because I know you can. So you have successfully communicated that your criticism, and you're understanding that everybody is work in progress, right? So communication system. Then the educational system. The educational system is critical because it determines the mental capacity of everybody in the home. So if you feel that you're raising a world-class individual, for instance, what do they need to know? What curriculum do I need to create for them to learn such and such? And what systems do I need to put in place? What rituals do we have? Do we watch an educational video every Saturday morning, the way we do here in my home? Every morning they need to watch something. Who are they learning about in this month? Are they learning about Elon Musk? Are they trying to figure out how he thinks? Are they learning about Hillary Clinton? Are they learning about Jay-Z? Successful people. You're trying to let them know that if these people could do it, you can do it as well, right? You're using the foreigner system to your advantage. You're looking at your child's tendencies, and you're looking at somebody in history who has achieved similar results with similar tendencies, and you're pointing them in that direction. Say you have a dyslexic child, for instance. You're letting them know that there are successful people who are dyslexic but have achieved massive success in their chosen fields. You're exposing the child to a Will Smith. You're letting the child know about the existence of a Tom Cruise. You're letting the child know about a Richard Branson. That you're dyslexic, it doesn't mean you can't. These are people who have done it ahead of you, right? So a child is interested in sports. She's a black girl like me. You're showing her Serena Williams. You're showing her Venus. You're letting her know that, see, people that look like you have done this before you, and you can do it as well. So that is your educational system. You're taking that. You're not relaxing on Nigerian schools. Oh my God, you're not leaning on the Nigerian school to deliver. You're not leaning on the UK school. You're not relaxing because every educational system is designed to create a particular kind of person. Now, if that is all you want your child to be, then that's fine. This conversation is not for you. But if there's more that you want your child to become, then you want to take responsibility for that. You want to take personal responsibility. You want to ensure that there is a curriculum, there is a structure, there is an educational system in your home. Next, you look at the economic system. I want my child to go to Harvard. I want my child to have this quality of life. How do I fund it? What do I need to do? How do we manage budgeting? Who needs to upskill? Who needs to earn more? What do we need to earn? How much resources do we need to start pulling together? You're not going to start saving for Harvard the day your child graduates high school. It's rather too late, right? So you want to start setting aside those funds now. You want to be making investments that will yield returns in that lag of time. The law of time perspective shows up here, for instance. You're thinking about that far distance while making decisions now. So when you're deciding not to buy Ashwebi, you are looking at your child's Harvard education, and you're not feeling bad about it. You're saying, look, I'm saving towards such and I'm saving towards such and so. But if you don't project that far into the future, if you don't think about it, you will make decisions based on today, and it will cost you. Because one day you will wake up and that picture or that future you desire for your child will be unattainable because you don't have money, right? But if you think about it now, then those results can be guaranteed when you make choices based on those future plans today, right? Next is your domestic management system. This is order, this is structure, this is where a child learns what is normal, what is not okay. This is where a child learns that because you're in the house, it does not mean the neighbors cannot sleep, right? This is where you teach your child, okay, this is where shoes go, this is where clothes go. You don't compromise on it, right? Because you're trying to raise a wholesome person. You don't look away. They scatter their room today. You don't look away and ignore, because you're trying to raise a kind of person. You have a vision in mind, right? So when the child is catching the place, you're telling yourself, whether you like it or yes, whatever it will take is whatever it will take. This room has to be system. How do we rest, relax? What do we do for fun? Do we have scheduled monthly day out and all of that? Obviously, you have rituals and routines. Everything supports every one of these systems that you've created in your home. This is what I do when I sit down with the parent. We structure, we look at your family structure, and then help create systems and structures that would give you these results, focusing on your unique family structure. That's why, although I do it in group coaching, but it's quite effective. It's quite effective in group coaching, but it's also effective as individuals. It's much more effective as an individual, because then it is unique and tailored to your own family situation. Then there is the security system. What is the child protection system? Immigration system shows up here. Who do we let into the house? What is our policy on sleepovers? Can children go out to hang out at a particular friend's overnight? Or can they, how long do they stay out? What is the curfew? You think about it, you put a plan in place, you put a structure in place. Can somebody come over to your place, somebody that you didn't know, and pass the night? If they can, what is your family, what is your home layout? Is there a door that keeps your children safe? Because like you know, damage control is difficult. Once a child has been affected, it's difficult to walk it back. The best thing is for it not to happen, right? So you want to think about these things. You want strategies and structures in place. You want to do scenario planning. You want to have a conversation with your child. Of course, you've done your sex education, I hope, and you want to tell your child, okay, when somebody tries this, this is what you do. When somebody suggests this, this is what you do. You want to sit down with the child and have a system, a structure, so that when they need to deploy those strategies, they're not doing it afresh. They're doing it from memory, because you have gone over it with them over and over again. Is it to shout, run, tell an adult, scream, or whatever? You want to have those processes, so that is part of your child's security, right? And finally, healthcare system, nutrition system. What do we eat? How do we feed? Or what are the things that are contraband in our house? Do we drink fizzy drinks? Do we drink fresh fruits? Do we drink only? Do we eat only home cooked meals? Do we occasionally eat out? Do we have a balance, right, of eating out and eating fresh home cooked meals? Who cooks? All of those things are things that you have to look at and create a structure and a plan for. So you can do it now if you're still expecting. If you have a child, you can do it. I like to say that the time you wake up, anytime you wake up is your morning. If you start implementing these things now, if you get somebody to help you out with it, or with what I've said, if you can have a sit down with the person you're parenting with and have the structures in place now, you will see your report card in future, and it will look good. It will make you smile. You won't want to fling it and go like, whoa, what's that rubbish? You know, that sort of thing. So is there any other question that you asked me?
I mean, Desola, you've been so kind. No, you even answered the other question I wanted to. I don't know if you came in the midst of my network stuff, which I really appreciate. What an expert guest you are, because in the midst of my in and out network, you kept talking and it kept the conversation flowing. And I was going to thank you privately, but thank you for doing that, because sometimes all of those, hello, can you hear me? Can you just really distracts the conversation. I was happy that you were still going. So just two more questions that I don't know. Did you answer the age range question, phone age range, when I was paused? I don't know if you answered that.
I did. Yeah, you're right. Should be your age. Okay, go on.
Phone age range thing or dilemma with single parenting, any special things for single parent, because you've shared a lot, and I think personally that anybody can now apply what you've shared here to use. But Just, I don't know if there's any special thing, because to me, if you apply the thing, even as a single parent, it can work. But just in case you want
Yes.
to add any special anything, just in case, there may not be. Those are just the final questions that I have for you.
Okay. So for the single parent, you're in a unique position. The only person you have to check in with is yourself. So you're not at a disadvantage, right? What you just need is systems and structure. Life happens. Different things happen that result in having to parent on your own. It might be temporary, it might be permanent, it might be for now, things might change next year, but systems don't lie. Systems are predictable. So if you have this system now and you have this structure now, if you're going to bring somebody into your family system, family structure, then you have a guideline. You have something to have a conversation about. This is how we run things here, right? Because you have looked at your child. You've spent the longer time with your child, right? I don't think it would be wise to have somebody who doesn't know your child come and make decisions for them, except even you are convinced that there is an advantage to a suggestion that they're bringing, but at least you have something to work with, right? So as a single parent, you're not at a disadvantage. You can have a sit down with yourself and with the child. If you can have a conversation with them, they're old enough, and develop this system for yourself and then deploy it. And the result is predictable. So yeah, as a single parent, you're fine, you're doing all right, you're doing the best you can with what you know. You just need to grow a little bit more, right? If you grow a little bit more, then your shark has capacity of attaining their full potential. Because when you grow to become an ocean, then you can raise a shark. If you stay at an aquarium, then your shark is small, right? But your child is a shark, a huge monster. Okay, if you stay small, that is the danger. The danger of keeping your shark small, that is the danger, right? Keeping your shark incapacitated and underutilized and underfunctioning, that is the risk that you run. So I'm challenging you as a single parent, as a dual parent, whatever situation you are in, embrace the capacity for growth. Embrace becoming an ocean. Grab all the knowledge you can. Learn more as much as you can about your child. Learn as much as you can about yourself. Unlearn, relearn, learn on a consistent basis. Your child is evolving. What you did yesterday might not be useful for that child today. Obviously, I don't know if we've talked about, we haven't, about your roles in parenting. From age 0 to 3, you're observing, you're learning, you're looking out for signals, you're a scout, right? From age 4 to 6, you're a role model, right? You're showing your child behavior, you're showing them patterns, you're putting them through processes, you're working through chores, right? And let me mention here, chores are a good way to teach a child responsibility. So if you are trying to raise a responsible person, be willing to ensure that your child does chores, even when you feel bad, because there's a chance for you to go like, oh gosh, oh, this poor child. There's nothing poor about doing chores. And chores are age specific. Chores are age specific. Tidying up their toys, putting their stuff away. Again, if you don't do it when you're supposed to do it, it is difficult when they are older. So these phases are important. Obviously, it's not the only thing you will do at that phase, but you need to do that. So ages 4 to 6, you're a role model. Ages 7 to 9, you're an instructor. You're putting them through, you're providing direction, you're providing guidance. You're telling them, okay, do it in such a manner, do it in such a manner. This is what's intended for you to do. And then ages 10 to 13, you're a friend. They are going through changes, physical changes, emotional changes. You are a friend. Your job is to listen and to be available, right? Now, if you have done what you're supposed to do when they are younger, then they have a context, like I said, to process information. Now, there might be some confusion, there might be contact, but the work that you have done earlier would prevent that contamination. And if there is a risk of contamination, guess who is the first to know? You. Because you are their friend. Because they know to come to you. Not outside, they know to bring their matters to you. That's why we say relationship, right? Rules without relationship will lead to rebellion. It's only a matter of time. Relationship is priority. Connection, emotional connection. Build that trust. Build it now that they are young, right? So that when they are older, then you can leverage on it. Gather information, gather data, be aware of love languages, be aware of personality types, so that when they are older and those confusing teenage years come, you can leverage on what you already know. That's not when you can't reach them. You don't know how to even communicate with them. It's because the ball was dropped, right? And like I said, when you wake up is your morning. So start working on that relationship now. If your relationship with your child is mostly go and do that, That's not a relationship. Okay, that is dictatorship. Okay, so build a rapport with your child, have a connection with them that it will be useful for you now and then in future. And finally, when you're their friend, ages 10 to 12, from 13 and above, you're a coach. You just say 13 to 19, you're a coach. You're on the sidelines, right? There's not much you can do at that point in time. You're still providing guidance, but you're not in the game, right? So you're on the fringe, right? It is what they bring to you that you can pay attention to. And again, that relationship then shows up. If you're trying to communicate something to them, if there's no foundation of relationship, then everything is abrasive. Everything sounds like you're just telling me what to do. No. If you have learned to manage your language, use your perceptual code effectively, then you can reach your child and then you can help continue to guide them along their own path. Because by that time, they are now figuring their path. They are figuring that they are here for a purpose and they're working towards that purpose. And then from 19, you're cheerleader. Whatever it is they say, you take it like that. You take it like that. If they decide that, okay, because under the law, they are now adults. So they can even say that, I want to backpack across Europe. I want to go on a trip. It's not, you can't force them. If you tie them down, the mistake of tying them assaulted, another, it's against the law. Even your younger child, you cannot hit, let alone your 19-year-old, right? Your control over them is now non-existent. Like I said, your child does not have to listen to you. They should want to listen to you. You make your message palatable for them. You make your pitch appropriate for them. You make sure that it hits them where it's supposed to. Make sure it touches them where it's supposed to, so that they can hear you and be interested in absorbing what you want to say. Now, obviously, that earlier window, they trust you. 0 to 3, about 4 to 6, they trust you. Everything you say is low. Maximize that window. Maximize that window and be honest and be vulnerable and be truthful. Relationship with your child. And then we talked about the phone. Now, the phone is a personal thing. For me, I don't think any child younger than 13 should have a phone. I think that before you even put a phone in the hand of a child, you should have done the work of training that child, enlightening them on the dangers of the internet, letting them know that it's a useful tool, but you have put guidelines in place, you have put structures in place, and then you need to let them know it's not their phone, it's your phone that is on lease to them. Yes, it's on lease to them, because what you allow will continue. If you let the child get the idea that it's my phone and I can do whatever I want with it, then they will have a sense of ownership towards the phone, and then that control is taken away from you. Now, I should mention that your job as a parent is to cede control to your child. You're releasing control to them gradually, because you don't want your teenager to have the idea that they are not in control of their lives. You will not always be there. You will not always be there to say, don't do this. You will not always be there to protect them from this or protect them from that. So you are ceding control. You are letting them know that they can take charge of their lives gradually and easily, right? So you are putting structures and systems in place that allows you to just release a little bit of control to them every now and again. Let them make choices. Choice theory is very functional here. What do they want to wear? Let them choose. Well, let them make those mundane choices, because those choices make them feel like they can take ownership of their lives. And that is what you want. Because the ultimate goal of parenting is not to have to parent anymore. That's the ultimate. Yes, that's the final stage. Wow. Not to have to parent anymore. If you have to still parent, ask anybody, any adult or somebody who is still parenting their 30, 35-year-old. It's not fun. It's not fun at all. That's not what it's supposed to be like. You're supposed to have a release date for your child, right? Now, if that release date is 18, then you must put in the work before they turn that 18. Because if that day comes and they are not ready, you will not have succeeded. You will not have succeeded at your parenting, right? So you have to parent with the end in mind. That's parenting. Who is this person? Who are we raising? Who must I become to raise this person? It has to be your focus at every point in time. Suggestions will come in every direction. People will say things to you. They will suggest things. This is how I did it. This is how my mom did it. What are you doing? Where you are going is where you will face. Not what anybody is saying around you, right? So about the phone, you want to have enlightened your child. You want to have taught them. You want to know the same way you can send one child to an ideal release date. I am working towards 16 because I want to relax. But it's not that I'm chucking them out of my life. No, absolutely not. I want to be involved as they would have me. But I'm working towards having an individual, a grown, mentally capable person by age 16. That is the plan. That is our plan. Okay, that's our plan. That's what we make jokes about it, that they should pack up their bags, go and rent a flat, and let me and my husband live in our house. I don't mind. Well, I can't even offer to cook for them, because by that time they should be able to manage those kind of chores by themselves, right? If I do my job correctly, according to my own standards. Again, everybody knows what they want. Everybody should decide where they are going. If you decide where you're going, find out how to get there. That is the job, right? So, as per the phone, internet-enabled device, you want to have guidelines in place. You want to ensure the child has proven capacity to manage such access, right? You won't send, there's some children, you can have 2 children, you can ask one to go to boarding school at 11. You know that there's another one that you dare not, right? It is that kind of mentality that we're talking about. So one size cannot fit all. One size cannot fit all. You know your child, you know what their capacity is. You know that one, if you give them an inch, they will take a kilometer, right? You know that one is more curious than the other. So when you know that one, when you say you're using, if they have a computer, for instance, and you say use, you're doing some research, some homework, stay on YouTube. Don't go I need a good example. Okay, let me use my son, for instance. Okay, he wants to research dinosaurs. He's doing the paper on Nelson Mandela. So whatever information you're researching, make sure it's Mandela based. Now, the kind of person he is, he won't go beyond there. That's his own nature. Now, his brother is a different conversation. That one will see football and research Ronaldo and look at research goal kicks and all of that. So I know that there is a tendency for that young man. He's younger anyway, so I understand that. And attention span is, some reports say that attention span is minutes and years. So if you have a 4-year-old, then the attention span is 4 minutes. Now, if accurate, you cannot expect a child that you're talking to beyond 4 minutes to still, you don't expect the attention to still be with you. You know that the attention has walked away a long time ago, if that statement is accurate. But if that is a baseline, I know that by the time he does whatever research he's doing, within 6 minutes, he's looking for something else to catch his attention, right? So I know that I should be close by. I know that I should walk by to nudge him and remind him that, remember, you're supposed to stay researching such and such, right? If you're bored with it, you can shut it down and do something else, okay? So it is knowing your own child. I would say a 13-year-old has no business having a phone, but there are situations that might require you needing to access the phone. Say, like you said, a single parent, maybe you're at work and the child needs to get on the bus and get home, or stay at a neighbor's place and all of that, and you want to be able to reach your child. So the circumstances are different. You might want to make sure that the phone is just a phone that only you can call, only your number is saved on it. Maybe there is no credit loaded on it, right? Maybe it doesn't have data access, right? Because again, you're curating the environment around your child. You're being deliberate and intentional about it. So you can just make sure that it doesn't have data. You are the one who can call the number. Nobody else has the number, so that you can check on the child. If your child is going to be at a neighbor's house, you want to be able to check in every now and again to make sure everything is all right. That's just you. So I won't benchmark it at any particular age. But if you're giving your child an internet accessible device, you need to have put safeguards in place. You need to ensure that those safeguards have been successfully installed in the mind of your child. And when you're not there, they will make choices that are good. If you cannot ascertain that, if you cannot be honest with yourself and say, for a fact, I know that this child will not step outside such and such boundaries, then don't put the device. You won't give your 2-year-old your car keys because they ask nicely, or because everybody is doing it. Let's say some bug beats parents now and they start allowing their 5-year-olds to drive. I mean, there are still some of us who will go like, have you all lost it? Do you understand?
Mm.
So because everybody is doing it does not mean that you should. I don't even recommend devices, but that's me. I don't recommend screens. I don't recommend tablets for children because it's designed to be addictive. One of the guys who designed, I think some guy at Apple said he doesn't give his children tablets. He designed,
Wow,
he creates these devices because he knows it's addictive, right? And it's difficult to tear a child away from something that was designed to be addictive, right? The best thing would be to curate that access, to say, okay, this thing is purposeful, is intentional, 30 minutes, you get to watch whatever. What are you learning from it? Understand, let the child have expectations of learning before watching that thing. See, the human mind is so beautiful such that it is what you condition it to do that it will do. If you allow it to go wild, it will, right? That's why meditation is a useful practice. And if there's somebody on this call now who has a child who struggles with focus and concentration, teach them to meditate. Teach them to meditate. If it's 5 minutes a day, focus breathing, teach them to do that. They would graduate. From 5 minutes, they can go to 10, they can go to 15. You will see them able to contain and restrain themselves. A lot of children that have been diagnosed with ADHD and all of that just need to be taught how to focus. So if you can teach, if you have a child who you think has that challenge or who is showing those tendencies, start teaching them now. Let them sit with you, hold their hand. But you can use one of those apps, or you can look for a video on YouTube. Teach them to meditate. They will start being conscious of their present moment, and they will be able to take responsibility for themselves earlier than what their age mates will be able to do, because they now have a skill set that helps them to concentrate and focus, right? So I think that's about it.
Yes, that is
I've been at this for nearly 2 hours.
Yes, and it is a wrap. I also wanted to add to Cordelia, because Desola has answered your question, that's also rewatching the video to see some of the preceding things she said is also important, even though your question has been answered. And to even anybody watching who just joined us, or will be watching the replay. Thank you so much, Desola. Now I want to go to the fun part in about 2 minutes, just rapid fire question to know a bit about you.
I'm bracing myself.
Sorry, public. Okay. What did you say, please?
I said I'm bracing myself. Your rapid fire question.
Yes, and before we go to that, I just wanted to, because you said 4 to 6 role model, 7 to 9, 0 to 3 is what?
Observation. You're an observer.
Okay, 0 to 3, 4 to 6 role model, 7 to 9 instructor, 10 to 13 friend, 13 to 19 coach. That's what. Yes, as a big, we are thanking you. Look at the love, Desola. This is so, and I know people are going to watch the replay will be so blessed, because this has been good. This like I don't even know what you will now give us for masterclass. Now, wow, because this one has been so good.
Let me just chip in here that I'm putting together a series of classes for parents, busy parents, 24 topics. I've picked the most that I think are the most critical things that a parent would need to know. 24 of them, 30-minute classes. It will be a bundle. I'm still trying to, when I do the flyer, I'll post it on my page, but I just think that it is a useful set of a quality of information for parents. If that is all, I make bold to say that if that is all you know, that is all you do, your children will thank you, okay? Your children will thank you. So I'm putting that together. I will post it on my page. 24 classes. The first one will be free, to be introductory. So that'll be 25 in all. If you take all of those and you do, because every class will come with home play, assignments, homework. That's what we call home play. So that it doesn't sound, again, we're using language. It doesn't sound like it's stressful. It's just something for you to dabble in, and it will make significant changes in your parenting. So I'm putting that together. It should eventually become a book, but for now it's classes, and then you can have access to it soon.
Thank you so much, Desola. Thank you. We're so grateful. Okay, let's get to the rapid fire question. Cordelia, watch the replay. Watch the replay. Don't worry, just zoom in. Watch the replay. Yes. And Bimpe is excited. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes,
please, let's also join to share on our stories as well. Once it is out, I would definitely do that, because Desola knows me, I'm a hype woman. Like, I'm always, it's not about popularity.
when you say a person that is gold, I'm just always talking about that's even privately, and anybody that cares to know if the person wants to ask about parenting. And I'm so grateful. Okay, so let's get to know Desola in 2 minutes. So rapid fire question, you're supposed to answer spontaneous. Time to answer the question. All right. So what is your favorite color?
All right. What's my what?
Favorite color?
Black.
What is
That's
your
easy.
Okay, what is your favorite food?
Favorite food? See, of recent, teacher, I will not lie to you. It's been Gary and granola too. And I concluded that that's my comfort food. If everything is not going well, if you give me Gary and granola with cold water, I'm the happiest girl. So I think I should settle for that. That's what I need these days.
Okay.
Well.
All right. Okay, what are you allergic to? What are you allergic to?
Do you mean food or
no, generally, whether dust, food, anything generally?
Oh, well, in terms of physical items or food or substances, I'm not aware of any allergies that I have. But I'm allergic to stress. I'm allergic to I'm a soft life person, and I enjoy ease. So I'm allergic to anything that exerts me. I still mentioned this yesterday. I'm allergic to all those kind of things. But physical substances, I'm not aware of any allergies that I have.
Okay. What is your best movie?
Movie. Maybe I'm a bit of a romantic, so maybe I would say Titanic. But I really do like science fiction, so maybe nothing specific, but anything that is futuristic, that is making me calculate and think and all of that. And then I really enjoyed the Avengers series. So yeah, those kind of things are in my wheelhouse.
I'm talking about science fiction. This is a bonus to those who stayed at the end. Good for those who stayed at the end. Desola, I think you should watch Black Mirror on Netflix. You will enjoy it. Yes, the series.
Thank you.
It was my husband that introduced me to it. My God, it is your science fiction. It's your kind of movie. It's your kind of.
Oh, good.
You will enjoy it.
Babe,
you don't have to
watch. We should watch Black Mirror.
Yes, and what I want to say is you don't even have to watch it episode 1, 2, 3, 4. You can pick randomly and just watch it.
Oh.
Yes, really good science fiction thing. Okay, what is your best book?
My best book? Right now, I don't have a best. It's just, for me, books are in seasons, and sometimes it's just something that you feel the need to do. Right now, I'm reading The Silver Method because I'm fascinated by the capacity of the mind. That's a place, an area that I'm fascinated by now. So that's what I'm currently reading. I tend to read like 4 or 5 books at the same time. I need to be focused because then I need to be focused because then I'm expending my energy. But I tend to listen to books more than read hard copy, so that way I can do it on the move. So right now I'm listening to The Silver Method.
Okay. Were you born? Okay. Were you born in Nigeria? Were you giving birth to?
Which kind of question is that? Nkechi?
Okay, we want to know, if you were not born in Nigeria, what country would you have liked to be born into?
What country
would you have liked to be giving birth into?
Okay. I think Greece is very mellow. I don't know too much about them, but there's some kind of zen and some kind of coolness about the physical location. So I think it would have been nice to have been Greek, have a connection with that lineage that is so ancient. So yeah, it would have been nice to have been Greek, you know. Yeah.
That is unique. One of the unique answers ever we've had on the show. Okay.
Are you serious?
Yes. Possible UK, Europe, this, that, but yeah, Greece. Okay.
UK. Nah.
Gold or silver?
Silver.
Black or white?
Black.
Yellow or pink?
Yellow or
pink? Yellow or pink?
Yellow. Yellow.
Okay.
Yellow.
What is one favorite thing about your husband?
Oh, my husband is the kindest, most most generous person that I know. He's so giving, and he's just a good person, all round good person. I call him a high quality person. And I'm so grateful that he's my husband. I'm so grateful that he asked me to marry him. And I'm so grateful. I'm so happy for my children as well, because that's who they get to call their dad. And maybe I should just chip in here that, look, when you are deciding to procreate with somebody, please, the most important decision, one of the most important decisions that you can make is to procreate with somebody that is reasonable and sensible. And, you know, it can be a derailing component of a person's life. If marrying them, you can walk away, but once you've had a child with somebody, you're bound to that person for life, as it were. So it's such a risky random selection of having children with people. And then the quality of the person that they are is transferred to your child. Even if they don't get to raise them, there's DNA, and every cell in your body carries a part of you. So it's not just about not having access and all of that. So I think him being the father of my children is something that I'm grateful for every day. But he's genuinely the kindest, most generous, most giving, sweetest guy. It sounds like I'm advertising him. I'm going to stop here. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. What is your favorite attire to wear?
I'm a comfort person. I dress for comfort. I don't like I said, I don't like stress, so I dress for comfort. If it's I like it close to fit, but I don't like tight, clingy. Nah. So comfortable is my go-to style.
Okay. What is your favorite thing to do?
Talk, as you can see. As you can see, talk. I can go on and on. We started at 10. This is 11:55, and I don't even feel like I'm starting. So yes, talk is something that is my favorite thing to do.
Okay, what do you like to do for fun?
To do for fun, walking is good for me. Spending time with family, hanging out with my children, maybe having a tickle session. I'm a homebody mostly. So and then I need to work on my trying out things skills. So I've not done things that are risky. I won't do anything that is, I like my feet firmly planted on the ground, so I won't be skydiving or anything like that anytime soon. But I like to see places too, although I'm not sure I enjoy the travel part, but I like to see places. I like to learn about new things, that sort of thing.
Okay. Small chops or jollof rice?
Small chops.
Fruits or vegetables?
None.
Train or ship? Okay, the train or the ship?
Train. No, neither. But if I must, train.
Okay. Desola, you really fit. Did you just hear what you said now? Neither. Like you were like the accent, the UK, the British accent. Bus or an airplane?
Airplane. I just told you I like the soft life, please. Airplane. Bus.
Okay, writing or speaking?
I beg your pardon?
Writing or speaking? Which one? Writing, although you gave us an hint that speaking, yes.
Speaking.
Okay, rain or sunshine?
Rain is so annoying because it gets you wet. But sunshine can be annoying too because then you sweat. So I think sunshine, especially because of where I am. I thank God every day the sun is out because then it's some kind of warmth. So yes, sunshine.
Jumi is laughing. All right, trainings, would you group coaching or one-on-one? Which one? One-on-one coaching, group coaching?
Both. I would say both because I would say both because I truly do enjoy both. I like the speaking part. I like that in a group, and then the one-on-ones because then it is specific and then the results are measurable and then you can track, so I would say both.
All right. Audio or visual? Audio or visual? For you, learning or listening, which one do you prefer? Audio or visual?
Visual, absolutely visual. And even I go further to be experiential. So if I can put my hands on it, if I can manipulate it, then but then when I'm trying to learn something, if I'm reading it and I'm writing it down, so I'm making notes, and so
Okay.
visual for me.
All right. A day at the beach or a day in one of your favorite restaurants?
Yeah. If we can take the restaurant, if you can take the food from
Ah,
the restaurant to the beach.
no. To the beach.
But a day at the beach sounds lovely. A day at the beach sounds lovely, yes.
Okay. Two more questions. If you had a magical wand, one superpower, or whatever the case may be, well, I like to say magical wand. What is one thing you would like to change in Nigeria? Just one thing. If you
Ah,
say one thing.
this this is being recorded, so let me not say what I want to say. But let me give you a hint. It's a plane crash.
Ah,
But let me not say the people, you understand where I'm going with that. So if I could change one thing, I would say love. I would say I would install love in the heart of every single person towards every single person, because I think that is lacking and is so obvious in the way things are done, in the way communication happens, in the way government is run. There is the absence of love. And if I could change that, if I had a magical body, feel a deep sense of love and compassion towards every other member of society, such that there can be sustainable change and everyone is working towards making things better for the other person, not self-serving, this kind of system that we run now. So I would say love.
okay. And then finally, what would you like to be remembered for?
I would like to be remembered for pouring myself, for attempting everything that I found that I have capacity to do. I would like to be remembered for desiring positive change in people and contributing to that. I would like to be remembered for showing up, for being the best that I can and at every opportunity, for grabbing and taking every opportunity to improve myself, and for giving back myself to society.
So thank you so much, Desola. Again, you can and should follow Desola at Desola Shows. Do not forget to subscribe. And do not forget to, of course, when Desola is out with a program bundle, she will definitely let us know. And hey, everybody that should definitely be a part of it. Thank you so much, Desola. And to everybody that's been watching, thank you to those that are sharing the 100% love. It is very encouraging. It matters. Yes,
Thank
so
you.
you are doing well, like they'll say, like being faith-tested now. Really true. Thank you, Desola. And we cannot, well, me personally, I cannot just wait for your global explosion, where you are just going to be putting in all of this wisdom to a lot of states and families across different countries, because it is well needed. And I hope that we've been able to fulfill the objective today of helping people to see how they can practically rebuild the value system in their home and family, which was the objective and the purpose of this conversation. Thank you. Oh, I'm SAGENEL. I didn't even introduce myself at the beginning, because it's all about what we are learning. But I'm SAGENEL, and we'll be here again for the next episode. Bye.
Thank you for having me. Thanks everyone for joining. Go and succeed at your parenting. The world is counting on it. Thank you. Bye.